So here's the TikTok. The president says, don't threaten us, North Korea, or fire and fury. Then North Korea threatens us with missiles near Guam. Then the North Koreans taunt the president, call him senile and untrustworthy. Now the president says to the North, just minutes ago, do anything to us or anyone we love, we're coming at you. Let's bring in Gordan Chang, foreign affairs journalist, author of The Nuclear Showdown, North Korea Takes on the World. Rhetorically speaking, we're after it.
Well, certainly. But there are things that President Trump could do to punish...
What about what he's done already? How is this rhetoric going to fly?
Well, the rhetoric about the firing the 4 missiles on Guam, being very specific about that threat, we have to do something before they fire those missiles.
Well, they say they're going to decide by the middle of August, and the order's coming shortly thereafter.
There are things that President Trump can do immediately. They do not involve the use of military force.
Like what?
I think that the one thing he can do, for instance, is to have his Treasury Department declare Bank of China a primary money laundering concern. In other words, unplug it from the global financial system. He just said he's all impressed with China and how it's handling things. He just said that. He respects them. Yeah, I know, but this is what he should do. Okay. If he does that, he demonstrates to the North Koreans and to the Chinese that he has the political will to do what's necessary, because no one thinks that he would actually do this. Bank of China has been laundering money for the North Koreans, and that we know that because in a 2016 UN report, they cite the Bank of China. Yeah, it's right there. Chinese banks have gotten away scot-free. Everyone thinks we have no political will. If we do this, Shep, I think what it says to the North Koreans is, oh my gosh, the Americans are actually willing to do things to protect the American people. But then, if you do that, you do exactly what you just said, and the missiles come firing over to Guam, then what do you do? Well, depends where the missiles land. And the other thing that we can do after that is we fire a missile over North Korea to land in the Yellow Sea. But I don't think it's going to get to that, largely because there are these non-kinetic things that are on the menu. And there's all sorts of non-kinetic things on the menu. Yes. I mean, it's first of all going after the money laundering, also going after other sources of cash the North Koreans get from countries other than China. And we know that they go from Africa through Asia, and we don't do anything about it. For decades, we have allowed this money to flow into North Korea, and we haven't done anything. The other thing we can do is we can prevent North Korea from shipping missiles to Iran. We've been watching this through the Bush administration and the Obama administration. And you know, this here's why that matters. They have one cash crop in North Korea, one thing that makes them money, missiles. That's it. They sell them to people. $2 to $3 billion a year is what North Korea earns from Iran for various forms of cooperation, most of it missiles, but also nuclear weapons technology, because the Iranians have been on site for all 5 detonations of an atomic device by North Korea. You sure of that? The first 3 are in open source. The 2 have been talked about by the intelligence community privately. Yeah, and I believe it to be true. But I don't doubt Gordan, but we can't confirm that. Go on. But we know that the Iranians have been working with the North Koreans on the nuclear weapons program as well. These are things that we can cut off these sources of cash. We haven't been doing them. And when historians look back at this period, they're going to wonder why the U.S. allowed this commerce to continue. It's deadly. It affects the interests of the United States and our friends and partners, and indeed everybody in the world, and we've allowed it to continue. I hear a lot of analysts, whom I respect, you know, all over all kinds of platforms today, saying, this rhetoric, we got to tamp down the rhetoric a little bit, though, because you get going after it, and you never know what crazy guy over there is going to do. Is that fair? Yeah, we have to tamp down the rhetoric, but we also have to step up the pressure. Yeah. Because, you know, there are ways that you can say things without inflammatory words, and I wouldn't have used fire and fury. Well, neither would anyone else. He didn't run it by anybody. Those were his own words. But he does need to put the pressure on the North Koreans, because our sanctions on North Korea are meant to be ineffective, to bring them to the bargaining table, as we say, not to their knees. Well, obviously, they're not coming to their senses. We got to do more. And also, we have very little in the way of sanctions on China for its help for North Korea. We need to make them pay a cost, because when the cost is much higher, the Chinese will realize that they have to come to us. President Trump needs to say to the Chinese, you can support North Korea, you can do business with the United States, you can't do both. If they believe him, we are well on the way to a solution, because the Chinese cannot afford to cross the United States in the run-up to the Communist Party's 19th Congress a few months from now. Xi Jinping is in a real trouble right now.